Ah, you good. Sure. State your name and where you from.
V12 The Hitman. I hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Hey. So, first question, man. How did you come up with the name V12 The Hitman?
Very interesting. I love cars, first and foremost. So the V12 engine Lamborghini is my favorite car. I started with the Countach, then with the Diablo, so on and so forth. So took the V12, it got a ring to it. And the Hitman, I'm a gamer as well. Hitman came from the Hitman game. He's a silent assassin, so I put V12 The Hitman. Feel me?
That's dope. Okay. So early on, living in Grand Rapids, what was your upbringing, like household and environment?
Man, went to Southeast Academic Center first and foremost. Man, I love that place. I went there from first to eighth grade, because we moved actually from Memphis, Tennessee to Grand Rapids early on. So when we got here, well, my mom is from here though. So, and my dad is from Mississippi. When we got here, that's when I didn't know too much about how different Midwest culture is. You know, even at an early age. I didn't talk to a lot of people as a kid because I was too busy absorbing shit. So as I got older, I say about 10 years old, sports household. You know, my brother, basketball legend here in Michigan. Basketball household, not too much entertainment, you know, focal point there. But for me, I was different. You know, I did sports here and there, ran track, you know, did a little basketball here and there. But I was into music. My grandmother was a singer in the choir at True Light Baptist Church. So she sung a lot around the house. And little did I know, that was a big part of me that kind of unlocked when she passed away when I was 13. So when she passed away, I would listen to her tapes of her singing. And that kind of brought me to some sort of peace, you know, because honestly, when she passed away, I had to grow up real fast because, you know, she spoiled me to death. You know, my parents was there, but, you know, you got a grandmother, she got a soft spot for you, me and my brother. You know, so when she passed, like, reality kind of set in, you know, wasn't no more being spoiled from her. You just had to kind of delved into my personality around that time. So I picked up music. And from there, it kind of evolved into something I didn't even understand was evolving right in front of my eyes. And it was a presence. It was kind of like a person, if it made sense. And it made me feel good. So around that time, I didn't tell nobody I was making music. So I started when I was 13, high school, I say about 16, 17, I ran into one of my mentors, Eric Large. He's big into sports as well. My brother big into sports, so, you know, naturally sports would be like on my back. But I played on some of my music, and from there he kind of took me on my journey. He showed me that this could be a career, even though I wasn't even thinking of it that way. He brought me around a lot of people that was influential in my journey. Also, I got my first placement with Common, and it was on allhiphop.com. So that was kind of like my first taste of like, yo, this could fucking work.
How old were you?
17. I was 17. You know, so that was like, yeah.
How did you get the music to Common? How did you get the music to Common? How did you connect that relationship?
It was Eli. It was through my guy Gangster Keith Seals over in Chicago. He had a big music following there, you know, ear to the streets, you know, connected to a lot of local artists, a lot of major artists from Chicago. So those two, them guys were friends, and naturally it kind of came to full circle there. You know, it was great relationships. Great relationships.
What song did you have placed in the comment?
It was called Nostalgia. It's called Nostalgia. It was Abstract Mind State featuring Common, and that was his group or a group he was working with. They really big and actually Old School Ice Cream. He was one of the group members, and he's real prominent in Kanye West's career. Okay. When you watch the documentary, you see him like wearing polo all the time. Yeah. He's always with Kanye. So I did one of their records basically with him and Common, where it was the group called Abstract Mind State featuring Common. Yeah.
That's dope. So you do that 17, you graduate high school 18.
Bomb.
You immediately move to Atlanta, or do you kind of?
Listen. So graduate high school here in Michigan, we have open houses. I don't know if anybody know about those. So when you graduate high school, it's like this party that your family have, and they come and they bring, you know, gifts, and they bring all type of shit to you. You know, congratulate you, fool. It's like a good get together for the graduates. So after my open house, I got enough money to build my computer. So I built my computer from scratch because I was making so much music on my mom's computer. I kind of blew it up. I blew up the motherboard. Yeah, I bought a whole new computer, enclosure, motherboard, hard drives, all the 9 yards fan. Built that shit, and that was my money. And after that, I got an opportunity with Shorty Ty. And I went down to Atlanta, not shortly after my graduation, man. And I went with 2 outfits, $10, and my big ass computer I just built. And that's how that started.
And you moved to Atlanta with just that?
Just that, I left.
By yourself?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. You 18, man, you fresh. You go to college and do the same shit.
You right about that.
What's the difference? You going? I think, you know, college is tethered living, in my opinion. You go away, but you protected with, you know, you got adult supervision, but you in your own world. But you go in the jungle, the different part, the world where you don't know motherfuckers, and you gotta survive off Quick Trip hot dogs, and you gotta just hustle and hope. That's the big difference right there. You gotta hope. You might got your peoples and your support, but if you 12, you 1,000 miles away from your family, and you trying to strike a match per se, you don't know this shit gonna work. Ain't no paper you can sign up for this shit. You know, it has to happen. So it had to happen for me. So side note, I read this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, this happened later. It was my perspective on shit. So there's a story. I'm gonna tell the short part about it. There's this general. He had 300 men, and they go to inhabit an island. Island got thousands of soldiers protecting it. They get there, you know, rally all his troops off of the ship, sink the ship. Poof. Troops don't know why the fuck he did that. The general said, "Yo, we either gonna take this island over or we gonna die." So naturally, what you gonna do? You don't want to fucking die, so you gonna put your mind to taking this shit over, and that's what's gonna happen. So I blew up the shit, bro. I cut my safety net, so it had to happen. So I think I took that mentality going forth with leaving with just so little. I just kind of knew. I didn't know how, but I kind of knew this is what I wanted, so it was gonna happen.
So you get to Atlanta what year?
I get to Atlanta, so I go to Atlanta. First time I go 07, go down there with Shorty Ty. Boom, 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 boom. Things didn't work out. Come back home for a bit. Then I go back out the end of 07 going to 08. And then that's when I but, you know, the Lie the Dark Man, DJ Drama, Willie the Kid thing comes into fruition. You know, it was a sensitive time for them as well. You know, they had got raided for the whole Gangsta Grills thing at first. So a lot of people was leaving. You know, a lot of the engineers were going a separate ways, so it wasn't too much left to salvage. So I kind of came and was like a fitting piece into the whole ensemble. You know what I mean? So when I came around, I didn't know too much about engineering at first. You know, to be perfect, I knew how to like, you know, make my beats sound how I wanted them to sound. But as far as recording people and tracking our audio, and I had to learn that shit on the fly. So when I first got there, it turned into like, yo, do you know how to engineer? I say, yeah. I ain't know how to do none of that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But I was able to live in the studio. So I would barely sleep. Pro Tools was right there. The board, everything was right there. So I'm young, got all the energy, all the aspiration, all the, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready. So I'm on that motherfucker damn near 24 hours learning. Then I'm recording, boom, 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 recording Willie. Then we have the Absolute Greatness album. And then it's time to start recording for DJ Drama's album, his second album for Atlantic. And that's when I have to learn how to track audio on the fly and learn how to create sessions. You know, like a lot of that album, I was going to different artists and picking up sessions, and I didn't know what to do with them. You know, it was all fresh to me. I'm 20, 21, 22. You know, with a big ass hard drive. You know, the big shit that you got to plug in there. They weren't compact like that. So I'm running around with the hard drive, you know, putting songs together, recording, tracking shit out, and then learning about the inner workings of an album early was real key for me. You know, and especially doing a compilation album. It wasn't just one artist. You know, we had Rick Ross over here. We had Trey Songz. We had Gucci. We had Scarface. We had Nas. All over the board. So, you know, different sonics, different sounds, different regional sounds. So many things it was a blessing at first, you know, like to start that way. Not like start like with just one big producer record and then you hit with all this success and then you got to kind of manage it. You know, this way it was kind of like I'm in the behind the scenes learning how to add longevity to myself.
Who were some of the artists that you met that weren't quite as big back then that have kind of blown up now? Or artists or just people in general?
Still DC Young Fly was one of them. My homeboy Westside Randy, shout out to Randy. He actually brought him around, and he was just like, "Yo, I got this kid. He pretty dope. You know, he rap, he sing, he do whatever." So brought him around a couple times. You know, I actually got a record with him that, you know, it's a little older. Still sound good. It's always gonna jam, but. Yeah, that's one of the people that came around early, and then you know, his situation happened with him getting stabbed, and you know, after that is kind of, you know, with his own way and found his way, and God bless he did. You know, he's a very talented cat, even that young. Also West Side Gun, and Conway, they was always cool. You know, we go to the studio a couple times. They was real, you know, they was really hustling back in the day and trying to get to where they are. You know, I commend them brothers, but there was another couple cats that I saw early on and they was around. Who else? I'm sure it's more. Sorry if I'm forgetting you, but that's just what comes to mind right now.
All right, song placement. So you get to Atlanta, you start working on the Gangsta Grills. I'm sure you get some beats on there. Can you remember some of your early placements and how that process went for you?
Early placements, man. Where we start? We can start with Gangsta Grills, the album, Volume 2. I produced 7 out of 13 of those records. I feel like that was an eye opener because that's when I learned about mixing and how things went and tracking out audio, and you know, I learned a lot early on, like just straight into an album, no coaching, no nothing. I just had to learn on the way. So first placement, Rick Ross, fucking Trey Songz, Gucci. And the processes is different. So when we have a compilation album, and the way we did it was, it wasn't, sometimes the artist would be available to record these records. Other times it wasn't. And at first, you would go collect the verses and put the songs together, especially with a compilation album. We might have, let's say, I'm just doing by example. Let's say you have a J. Cole record. And then he might send you one verse, no hook, beat, boom. Then you got just one verse from J. Cole. Now, we got to come to a meeting of the minds and say, who would fit this record? Who could we add to this? And then we will go and, Drama will go and find, we will come up with people. Then we'll go and find out if we can even, grab these people for this record. And hopefully you got to go through the stipulations, because sometimes motherfuckers' situation don't be as, I can just hand you this piece of paper. Nope. You got to go through this person. You got to jump through this hoop. You got to jump through this hoop just to get this verse cleared for this album. So you got to go through that process as well. And it's harder with a compilation, because you dealing with about, at the minimum, 10 artists. One album. That's a fucking lot. Yeah. And everybody is moving around. And it wasn't the phone era at that time. We couldn't just reach motherfuckers through DM. We couldn't do that. So it was contingent on phone calls, text, emails, and hopefully this person is available, and studio time, and this time frame. They might be on tour. There's so many things that you got to consider when you putting together a compilation album. So that was difficult, but at the same time, it was fun. But when you're just as a producer, just doing a placement for a single artist, let's say like my Rick Ross record with R. Kelly, Keep Doing That. Okay, so let's go to that. How that went about was, shout out to Dallas Martin. He was A&R'ing over there at Atlantic. Matter of fact, over at MMG. And, we put together a session. Artists do this a lot of time when they're working on albums. They put together like a session and shit, and they invite producers, maybe open call, or it may be intimate, and you might have to have an invite. So it was at our studio and shit. And truth be told, I was about to leave, because it was whole bunch of producers there. Metro, Southside, B Weezy, D Rich, a whole bunch of them. I'm probably missing some names, but a lot of them was in that room. And I personally don't like to be amongst all that clutter, bro. Like, it's cool. Like, I get it. You might be hungry. Yeah, you gotta get. And I don't like to be fighting for space. I like, it gotta make sense. So I'm leaving, but Drama can stop me at the door. And, he asked me if I got some beats for Ross. So I'll turn around. So when I go back in there, grab the aux, play a couple records. Ross like them, and Dallas pulled me to the side, collect information. And that's how that process went. And, after a couple weeks, get email like, yo, Ross want this beat and give you the names of the joints. Then, business paperwork, XYZ, boop, 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 boop. So oftentimes it may be sending the beat. It may be session motherfucker set up. It might just reach out to you. May heard your beat somewhere else and be like, yo, what are you doing with that shit? I want it. So it's a lot of ways it can go, honestly.
Can you name some of first of all, how many places do you have officially?
I think something like I think I just hit the 90 mark.
So 90 songs placed.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name some of those 90? Some of your big ones. I don't know if you can remember all 90, but can you name some of your big ones?
90 deal. Ballin' to the End, Lil Uzi Vert, Currency, Mary, Rick Ross featuring R. Kelly, Keep Doing That. Nipsey Hussle Hotel Suite. It's always tricky, man.
A Currency record.
Yeah, I said that. Love for Money. Drama's second album. That was my first single. Clouds. That's on Drama's album with Rick Ross, Miguel, Currency, and Pusha T. It's on Quality Street Music.
Can you think of any Jeezy or Gucci songs? Because you're one of the few people, not the few, but there's not many producers that can say that they worked with Jeezy and Gucci before the beef was squashed.
Oh, engineering, yeah. Gucci Mane, Smoke. So what you asked me again? You said
so the placements, but also we'll get to engineering next. But the songs you got placements. So if you have any Gucci or Jeezy songs placements.
Yeah, I got Gucci on the second album. That's actually when we start like rocking with Gucci, you know, amidst everything him and Jeezy had going on. But it was a Gucci and Willie the Kid, Smoke. Like, we got him to say gun rule on that record. I was special. That was pretty hard. So yeah, that was one. As far as Jeezy, you know, it was just engineering with him.
So can you kind of go through your process of becoming Jeezy's engineer for a certain amount of time, and then what was the day-to-day like with that?
Oh man, so as far as, let's start with the Gangsta Grills.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like as far as engineering go, like I said, it didn't start off as something that was a career path for me. I kind of was like fell into my lap. It was kind of like I found my salvation doing that. But you know, a little bit after I got around in Drama's camp, I started learning how to engineer, and that led me to engineering the Gangsta Grills mixtapes. Now, every Gangsta Grills mixtape, every last one, from 2008 to I say about what, 2014, 2015, I engineered every last one of them. So from there, that opened doors to doing mixtapes for other DJs. And I was engineering, you know, some of Willie's projects just pre-mixing, not post-mixing, before they reached the, you know, professionals or whoever they hired to do the whole albums with the labels. But yeah, then I started recording other people and started recording sessions at the studio. So over time, you know, I started meeting with other engineers and Yo Gotti For My People. That's one record right there. That's where I met, I think his engineer passed, but I got a lot of tips from his engineer during around that time. I was like early. But yeah, that opened a lot of doors and kind of like gave me a whole nother career path, a whole nother path of money, which is more consistent, honestly, than producing in certain stints. And that also led to producing the radio shows. Shade 45 Streets is watching it every Friday, as I was radio show producer for that for the same amount of years. And yeah, man, as far as, you know, being other people's engineer, I got the privilege to be Young Jeezy's engineer for about a year and some change. And that came about, actually, it was crazy because I was engineering Nipsey's, we was doing the Crenshaw sessions in Atlanta. And it was one day. Now, mind you, I didn't know shit about the record being done that I did. I hadn't heard it before, nothing. So it was one morning, I hit Nip up like, yo, what time you coming to the studio? He says, I'm not going to the studio today. I'm going to your video shoot, the song you did, Ross. I'm like, where? You know, it's kind of surprising. It's kind of a chin scratcher. So fast forward, figured out it's the song. Still hadn't heard it. And he told me to pull up to the video shoot. So I go to the video shoot, not knowing people. You know, not knowing nobody, just going off of a whim, and I went with one of my homeboys. So we get to the gate, bro, and I bullshit you not, the security guard, like, yo, y'all can't come up in here. It's private event, X, Y, Z, yada, yada, yada. So as I'm leaving out, it's an A&R that I know. That was A&R at Def Jam. His name was Young Sav. Shout out to Young Sav. So he said, yo, V, come back, man. And then he put his arm around security guy. He's like, yo, you know this to get, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have a job today. So got in there. It was kind of dope, you know. But got in there. I'm hearing the song as I'm walking up. And I walk in on, I don't know if y'all seen the video, I walked in on R. Kelly's part when he's sitting on the steps and the girl is behind him. So I walk in there, and then I'm watching the whole shit unfold. I'm kind of in awe, you know, because at the same time, it's like my record, you know, and I'm absorbing everything that's going on. It's like my first inkling on all of it. You know, it's not like, yo, you heard this before, and I heard this snippet, and I played it. Nah, everything's hit me at one time. So it was kind of like a boom. You know, I'm like, damn, this is crazy. So I stayed a long time now. While I'm there, side note, I had been recording Jeezy at our studio, just, you know, on a couple of just call-in sessions. It wasn't nothing to, you know what I'm saying, consistently be hearing there, you know what I'm saying? But apparently he took a liking to how we work. So fast forward, let's go back to the video shoot. So I'm at the shoot or whatever, it's about to end. Jeezy, this is when Jeezy and Ross, you know, they just kind of got back, you know, cool or whatever. You know, Jeezy pull up to the video shoot. You know, it's about 2 a.m. I'm like, all right, I'm about to bounce. I'm about to leave. You know, it's mad people. You know, it was Ross, Jeezy, a couple other people, they in the circle talking. So I'm about to leave. He said, V, I need you. And then, you know what I'm saying, pulled me over there, got to talking. He said he wanted to be his engineer. He told me to hit his assistant, let her know, you know, whatever I need to let her know as far as X, Y, and Z. And I was working the next day. Like literally the next day, got called in to work. And it was different for me, because this is when I officially like learned about the business side of the music industry. Not necessarily like points and royalties and all the extra words they throw at everybody. It's just kind of like gotta grab your piece of the knowledge. I'm talking about payroll, direct deposit, invoices, split sheets, and this is just on the engineering side of things. So when I started working with him, now mind you, I had no clue on any of that. I was hustling, you know, in the drama situation. It was more so of a hustle than kind of like something set up for me to win, if that makes sense. So, you know, and working with him, we had like 19-hour sessions and 37-hour sessions and 22-hour sessions, you know, and we would be working, and he would have to go do a concert somewhere, and just to do a verse on the stage, like Love in the Club verse. And then we go back to work. You know, he works very, very hard, and he delves this, and he like dives face first in what he needs to do. And watching that and being around that type of energy and even that type of success, and to see that, man, like I seen this man buy a Lamborghini while we working, and he delivers the Lamborghini, get delivered to the studio, you know, type shit. So like, it was a lot that I was able to absorb, that I was able to take away from that whole situation, and it was an eye opener, because like I said, I hadn't experienced like anything like that, if that makes sense.
Make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So your friendship with Nipsey, how did y'all develop a friendship and get to record some of those records and develop, like, just become real close?
All right. Yeah, with Nipsey, man, I actually met him like early on. When we was doing the second album before it got done, it was a record that never came out called No Favors. It was J Rock, Nipsey Hussle, and June Summers did the hook, and I produced it. So I met Nip early. He came like to Atlanta early, like '08. Like he was wearing Slow Bucks hoodies and shit like that. When the Slow Bucks hoodies was, I got a picture too, still too. But that was the first time I met him. It was like when Hustle in the House was kind of dying down. So it was, I don't know what situation he was in as far as his music, shit, and even his personal life. But that's when I first met him. Fast forward to Crenshaw. Crenshaw was the Gangsta Grills, and he spent like 2 weeks in Atlanta, or we recorded rather for about 2 weeks, and every day we was in the studio, top to bottom, and during those times you can't help but to get close and develop, if your energies rock with each other, and that was the thing. Bro had a cool spirit, man, and he was just really stand up about what his vision was and what his goals was. And at the end of the day, man, when you sharing art and when you're doing art, man, it kind of becomes like you kind of become kindred spirits. If you just imagine if you got a project with someone and y'all painting a mural. And every day y'all come in and, you bring different energies for whatever you bring outside to the studio. You might you're going to be around these people like 8 to 10 hours every day. And you might have a story that's like, man, fuck. Like, man, what's wrong? Do. And then you're going to have to bust down the story. And then you open up a little bit more every day. You open up a little bit more every day with this person. And you gain some sort of trust. And if you fuck with them, you can't help but really kind of the flame, if that makes sense. It's like, how can I put it? Anyway, our relationship, bro, was really dope because we was able to really just bust down and like be ourselves, and all the camera shit away, ain't nobody on camera. Everybody was able to be open. Coming with sweatpants and just regular shit, braids all messed up, just talking, smoking weed, busting down, and being able to be that and to come out with a beautiful project. And that grew a lot of the relationship, bro. Just being around each other daily like that.
So how many songs did you produce or record with Nick?
Produce, we got one that's out called Hotel Suite, and one that didn't come out with. Yeah, you guys got one that didn't come out. I ain't gonna say who's on it because I don't know what's being planned with it. So we got about 2. Oh, we got 3. The No Favors joint I was talking about. And as far as engineered, the Crenshaw, we put together the Crenshaw tape. Even other records then that came out just on some XYZ shit. It was 2 weeks of work. We was putting in records every day, so it was kind of countless music coming out around that time.
Do you have any memorable sessions from recording with Jeezy?
Man, it was one night. Now, mind you, I had relationships with a lot of artists in Atlanta, not like we brothers or nothing like that, but see him in the club, do work, see him in the studio, X, Y, and Z. So fast forward, I'm working with Jeezy. It's one night. Jeezy got a producer that he worked with named D Rich. And D Rich got some placements, and he came up under Shorty Red. So D Rich was producing heavy for Bankroll Fresh as well. So it's one night, bankroll come through. And D-Rich pushed the space button on the All Air record. You know, and it was, you know, and I love moments like that, man. It's you can't really duplicate them or explain them. You feel me? Like records like that, like them be one of a kind joints, bro. That shit is. I love that record, bro.
Hotel Suites. The record went viral when LeBron posted it. It was already a popular record. But we were talking before. He said there's a little controversy behind the record. Do you want to touch on that? You want to talk about
Not yet. Nah.
Okay. All right.
We'll leave that alone right
now. So, well, first of all, do you have any LA Nipsey stories? When you moved to LA, did you ever link up with Nipsey out there?
Man, I tell you what, when I got to LA, I didn't understand like Nipsey's influence in Los Angeles until I like got out there. So it was one moment I was with one of my guys out in LA. We was, you know, just outside vibing, smoking, and you know, Nip drive by, you know, beep his horn, boom boom, regular shit. Everybody say peace. Now Nip knows the guy that I'm with as well. So anyway, we chilling. And all of a sudden, he doubled back around the block. Then he pull up and he parked, put his hazards in the turning lane, like around the side. So he hop out. Regular shit. So like I said, I'm not thinking nothing of his influence because just you know, a couple of years back, we was just busting down, laughing, kicking shit regular. Like, you know, you my dog. So he hop out, you know, pass the blunt. So we in front of this restaurant out there, big window. Somebody must have got a glimpse of him. All of a sudden, you see like 30 people at the window, bro. People beeping, people stopping their cars. About mad people surrounding like in a big circle. And we just talking regular. You know, and then I had to think about it. I'm like, damn, it's really like that. And it's not nothing that's like, you know, I'm the king and nothing. He didn't walk around like that, bro. It was just, it's the influence. It was just in him, you know, and he was just on his mission. And that's king shit. Think about it. You know, if you got a mission to do something, bro, and you in your purpose so heavy that you're not looking up and worried about who's following you and who's influencing you, who you influencing, but you influencing so many people by just doing what you're doing. That's what I seen in this spirit, you know. But yeah, that was one moment I was like, damn, he really got this shit on the chokehold, bro. Like, for real.
Where were you at when you heard he passed?
When I heard Nip pass, I was actually heading to the beach. And somebody asked me a question about him. And it was kind of like because I had let them know I worked with Nipsey, and it was kind of like asking how he was and X, Y, and Z. So I bullshit you not. They asked me, do you think he has to worry about anything that has to do with, you know, gangs or getting hurt? And my exact response was, I said he got a lot of respect around here. I don't think he got to worry about that. He also got like security, so you know he move around pretty tight, and I don't think nobody would do that. You know, he got a lot of love. Rest assured. 30 minutes later, I get a text from my brother. He said, Nipsey got shot. So I'm like, what? Then a couple other people hit me, and they sent me this video. And you can feel the air like change. You can literally, it was a Sunday, it was like golden hour out there in LA, the sunset and everything looked beautiful. You could feel it. You could feel something leave, if that makes sense. And it felt like a wave of sadness. And I don't think you even had to know what happened to feel that. It was powerful. And everybody's spirits just went down, and we just hit a U-turn, and I just went home. And that was it. Everything just went down, bro. All the moods, all the energy, not just us, just everything, bro. Cause that was like, not a lot of people really affect the world that way. But I felt like it wasn't deserved to go that way. I felt like he had a lot more to bring to the world, and a lot more change to implement. But yeah, man, it was heavy when he passed. It was real heavy.
So any dream collaborations or plans for 2025 and moving forward?
Ooh, I want to work with Sauce Walker. That's one person I want to work with. I want to work with Sauce. J. Cole again. Who else? Rhapsody. I don't necessarily. I don't see. Okay, Boss Man D-Lo. I don't want to work with him because I love his sound already. He has a sound with his producer, and I don't want that to ever change. But I fuck with him heavy. I would love another Currency record. Whenever we get around to working with each other, and one more person. Shit, I was gonna say Quincy, but he passed.
Any R&B? You want to get in any other genres of music?
What's R&B these days? That's another question. What is considered R&B now? Who would you consider R&B? Would you consider Rod Wave R&B? Would you consider that rap? Would you consider who's the R&B artist today? I'm dead ass serious too. I don't know. I'm trying to think who's an R&B artist. Who's
SZA, Summer Walker?
You know what? I feel sorry, y'all, cause there's SZA, there's Summer Walker, there's Brent Fayez, there's Masego. That's a lot of motherfuckers. My bad. Now we on the camera and shit. I think I just keep my opinions to myself. But
because you know her though, because you know Summer from Summer.
No. I don't know her. I don't know her. I don't know the new Summer Walker. I know talking about the video vixen. I'm talking about the singer.
That's your manager. That's how you met her. Drama Girl was her manager. She Googled her name and found Summer Walker singing. So Summer Walker, Drama Girl, used to manage Summer Walker.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she found her by Googling her name, and in Atlanta. So that's how she blew up. And let's talk about legal terms as far as the music business. How important is it to have a legal team or at least a lawyer look over your contracts, and how you find your lawyer?
Listen, it is ample important to have a legal team, a lawyer, or just somebody that got your back in this shit, because there is a lot. Because as a producer, you just want to make music, right? I get it. Like, even as artists, you just kind of want to come in, do your shit, and not have to worry about so much other shit. Because there's so many layers to this game that people don't understand when they first get into it. And even over time, they don't understand. It's certain languages that people hit you with that you don't understand. And they hit you with these languages and they know you don't understand them so they can get the shit off from right from behind you. So, lawyers is important because they understand those languages. And in order for them to get paid, you have to get paid. So, they got your back. They make sure they'll be the bad guys for you where you don't want to speak, because sometimes you might have a situation where you might do a record for a big artist for a big label, and then they might come to you and be like, well, we're not giving you no producer advance and we're fucking you on the back end. But you got a placement with so-and-so. You need somebody to be like, that don't fucking make sense. You need somebody that'll fight for you. And you can't fight. You can't fight that shit by this. You just, you hungry. You want this placement. So, in your heart, you want to be like, nah, that's not fair. But your stomach gonna be like, man, it's a so-and-so placement though. Other things can come from it. But put it like this. If you had made a plate of food and you selling plates of food, and this big artist came and grabbed all your plates of food, you got 12 of them. He took all your plates of food and said, you know what? You just fed me. Thank you. Would you sit there and lose all your profit just to feed this one motherfucker? Does that make sense to you? No. What makes sense is you stand on your business, regardless of who it is. You make sure all your ducks is in a row, because this song can go astronomical diamond. It could go 1 times platinum, and then you don't got shit to show for it but just your name. But if you got a legal team, or if you got somebody that's fighting for you, they can maybe get you your percentage. They get you what you deserve, because as a producer, you own half of every record. If you're not co-producing with somebody, if you're not sampling where you have to relinquish certain things, that's another topic. But you get half of the pie. Each record is 100% of a pie. Half goes to the artist or whatever they split it, half goes to the producer. So, regardless of who you produce for, get your half. Get your percentages, even if it's not an advance at the front. Now, with the advance, I wouldn't say it's a loan. People get that fucked up, say it's a loan. What it is it's an advance. Let's say you work at McDonald's and you make $150 a week. 4 weeks out the month, that's $600 a month. Now, you guaranteed to get that $600 every month. But you go to your supervisor and say, I need a 3-month advance. So that's $1,800. So they give you $1,800. So until you work off that $1,800, you can't get paid again. That's what a producer advance is. You got a record, bam, my advance is $10,000. Boom, you might sell it to artists, ex-artists, lawyer gonna negotiate all your X, Y, Z's. Now once that record recoups that $10,000, now your royalties start kicking in, your mechanicals and everything else, because that $10,000 is paid back. And that's how an advance works. So back to needing a lawyer. The lawyer will set you up for the best scenario in certain situations, because the best scenario may not be an advance. They may not have an advance to offer you in certain situations. Do you just not take it because you ain't gonna get no money up front? Would that be a good move? Now, it may not be. It may be. It depends on the trajectory of where these records are gonna go. The actual record placement is a single. There's a lot of stipulations, but rest assured, a legal team will do their best to put you in the best position to win.
How does a producer get paid?
All producers, please get paid. So we have advances, and that goes into royalties or whatever. Then you have your set amount of royalties. You got, you got mechanicals, you got performance, X, Y, Z. It's a number of those. Also, there is streaming. but all that is allocated through your PRO. So your PRO collects all that data, and that PRO is ASCAP, BMI, CSAT, and basically they record all of the and tally up every record spin, where it's played at, where it's performed at. That's one. Avenue. Another avenue, if you do have this, which I have, it's an administrative deal. Administrative, whatever language. But basically, what they do is they go and collect all of my royalties from YouTube, satellite radio, plays on all the DSPs, performances. So they go grab all that, and every quarter, 4 quarters in a year, every quarter I get paid for all that from all my records. So I think that's a major way that probably a big percentage of artists that got producers that got some placements. A lot of them might have an admin deal in place, but a lot of them might not. But we got administration, we got PROs, and yeah, church.
So let's do